looks like a toy top going upside down. So this is the diagram which we come up with. It's more flat with it hanging around, but it doesn't have the hump up in here.
It seemed to move off the ground if it was down. And then we saw three lights that went from yellow to red.
When you got right up to it, it lit up. And the blue come right, and you could see it. The outline of it real good.
Blue Book's Dr. Alan Hynek investigated one of the alleged landing sites with the local sheriff. At an overflow press conference later that day, the world held its breath for an historic revelation about the landing mission. Hynek, by now privately convinced of UFO reality, struggled to follow the Air Force policy of tamping down public opinion.
You're saying that the lighting came out of this definitely was that. I'm saying that the two cases that I investigated most deeply were most likely said in a statement I could prove it before a court of law. But it seems that you don't know what law. No, that's not quite right. I think that a person can be pretty sure about something without being able to convict somebody of a murder. Yes, I do, honestly. In this case, you can't say without hope.
Hynek's strange explanation, which he later called his greatest regret, ignited a public fury.
Howard, what about my thoughts or your heads on the Michigan past week, days? We've had several incidents that many felt were sufficient to justify some action by the government and not the kind of flippant answers that were given by the Air Force where they passed it off as swamp gas. It seems to me that this mystery does require that the Congress take a good look at it. I think their records become a lie.
On April 5th, 1966, congressional hearings were held. Dr. Hynek, Secretary of the Air Force Harold Brown, both given
Mr. Ford has not. Yes, it's statute, Congress. And so, Mr. Secretary, that's light on highly illuminated objects.
Mr. Secretary, there have been charges of the Air Force in hiding something in the UFO field. We have not been hiding anything. The investigations have been made public. The hearing this morning is public for just that reason.
It was headed by physicist Edward Condon.
Dr. Condon, do you hope to find people from outer space here on Earth?
Well, I don't know.
It's not even 5 yet.
Study the reports and get as much additional information as we can.
Would you like to have us being visited by these little big things?
Well, that would be fine with me. I hope they're friendly.
How do you propose to go about it?
After the project was launched, Condon remarked to an audience that he thought the UFO subject was nonsense. But, quote, I'm not supposed to reach that conclusion for another year. After a 2-year investigation, the panel submitted a massive 1,400-page report showing that many cases were radar and weather anomalies, confirming a number as truly unexplainable. Among them were the famous McMinnville photos taken on the Trent family's lawn, as well as film footage of UFOs at Great Falls, Montana.
As I looked up, I saw 2 silvery objects moving swiftly out of the northwest. No sound, except I thought I heard a whoosing sound when I first saw them. The discs appeared to be spinning like a top and were about 50 feet across, which was much slower than the jets that shot by shortly after I filmed the discs. I could not see any exhaust, wings, or any kind of fuselage. They appear to be of a bright, shiny metal, like polished silver. There are cases that are unexplainable in the quality or control necessarily be something of direct communication. Why are they doing? What are they doing? What do they want from us? What are their motivations?
But it was Dr. Condon who wrote the final word. There appears to be no verified and fully satisfactory evidence in any case that is clearly outside the framework of presently known science. Science and technology.
I would kind of wallow on that one, but it's have to conclude that what we were looking at was beyond our current state of knowledge.
But it began to hit me that Dr. Condon has apparently not read his own material very carefully. To do an actual calculation, he doesn't seem to have done. You find his percentage of unexplained is 5 to 6 times larger than the Air Force, and yet, what is his principal recommendation? The principal recommendation for Dr. Condon comes through with is that warrants further attention by the federal government and make the way he recommends dropping the whole problem.
Nobody needs funding, nobody needs to look at the data. Secondly, nobody needs to make objectivity, saying that the problem has been solved. They have closed their reporting system so that if the problem is reported to us, if the reporting to the police, then it never gets to the attention of scientists examining phenomena.
In 1969, the Air Force officially ended. Was the pervasive reporting details did not come to light until decades later at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C.
Declassified U.S. government documents and witness testimony from former or retired.
Sort of phenomenon. It sounds fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah, in 1967, I was a missile launch officer stationed at Mount Air Force Base, Montana.
Malmstrom was America's first line of its silos packed with campus. Swarmed nearly 100 times more powerful than
Basically, what I was doing was a star observation to provide precise latitude and longitude on our small three-lane beam. Came from the north and stopped right over us. And it had a white light coming down to the silent. I just said to myself, what if this beams us up and takes us off to some distant place? Never returned Earth again. I mean, this is going through my head here while this thing's above us. And then from the dead stop, just off to the east, just like that, you see a magnetometer distance.
The strike team that went out claimed that they saw something. How did they describe that here? But they wanted to ground directly over the
Lieutenant Salas was stationed in his underground launch control capsule when he received a frantic call from one of his topside guards.
Screaming into the phone saying they're looking a red glowing object hovering just above our front gate. Our missiles began going into what's called a no-go condition or unlaunchable. Essentially, they were disabled.
In fact, 10 missiles began going offline in a matter of seconds, one after the other.
Personally, I'm never aware of any two missiles going out at the same time. Let alone 10. Also, possible control officers kind of ask them launches. I clearly recall a message coming through my communication. She basically just said that UFO was going to have At that time, Pentagon was one of the largest tactical fighter wings in the world. It was also the largest American bomb storage depot in December 1980, early in the morning, several of our security policemen discovered strange lights in the forest.
Expecting to find a crashed aircraft, they came upon an unrecognizable object resting on the forest floor.
They observed it for a period of time, and it very quickly and silently vanished.
2 nights later, Colonel Halt received an urgent visit from the base security commander.
He was white as a sheet. He said, "It's back." One object approached us at very high speed. Weapon. Stood there. that time, I noticed the other object was descended on me, mile and a half away over Woodbridge Base. We had great difficulty communicating. But we were able to discern that some of those beings were falling into or near the weapons storage area as a great deal of concern. I also found out later, both the tower operators at Bentwaters saw an object and picked it up on their flight 2 radar and watched it.
I was just sitting there and I happened to see a dot come on the scope, and it just went like one dot of smoke, another dot, and it was gone. And then it made an immediate right-hand turn and came right towards the base. Just absolutely phenomenal. It's not like any radar target I've ever seen traveling extremely high rate of speed. It passed over the control tower, and then it stopped. It was an orange color. Sort of popped into my mind at the time that somebody's flying a basketball out there. There were like lights around the center of it. It was more like portholes, and then you were seeing the light from the inside. But it hovered momentarily, reversed its course, and went back out at a high rate of speed.
Then more alarming incidents took place on both sides of the Cold War. According to one secret Soviet documents, a UFO hovered over a Ukrainian nuclear base for nearly an hour. Inexplicably, several missiles suddenly switched to full combat readiness and began a launch sequence without any authentication codes. After 15 heart-stopping seconds, the countdown to a potential Armageddon peace was abruptly ended.
As this object was passed over the missile site, we really started getting erratic indications on that missile. The best thing was when launch indicated that the launch but no trigger. That means that the missile has received the launch signal.
The countdown had to be manually aborted. These witnesses are some of the most highly vetted military officers in charge of the world's most devastating armaments. If what they're reporting is accurate, then the pattern is hard to avoid. UFOs have been making incursions into top security nuclear facilities decade after decade.
To me, it's pretty clear. This is just, we're shining a light on this, we're pointing it out. What are you people doing with nuclear weapons?
And the walls fell down, it was as if humanity itself was demanding to be seen as one people and one world. The Soviet Union had dissolved, and history's spotlight began to shine on long darkened corners.
Different officials were looking for ways to open dialogue with the West and embrace all of the changes that were underway in their country at the time.
This is George Knapp in Moscow, the city mayor.
Knapp's team was invited to Moscow by government and military officials who were willing to share decades worth of UFO files.
General Igor Maltsev, for 7 years, commander of the entire Soviet air defense system, recalled the UFO flap over Moscow in 1990. Hundreds of visual and